This week, Xbox is serving up another scintillating selection of discounted games with a whole bunch of massive titles in the mix. We've got a fantasy-filled RPG sale that'll take you back to the Age of Dragons, but first, let's get our adrenaline up with this week's action and adventure sale.
If Matt Reeves' broody take on the Batman has you ready to dish out some leathery justice, then this 60% discount on Batman Arkham Knight could not have come at a better time. Just like in the movie, Arkham Knight lets you see all the different sides of the Batman. The world's greatest detective who can scan a crime scene in the blink of an eye, the nocturnal predator who stalks through the shadows, and the ruthless vigilante who likes to punch crime right in the face. Not too sure how much Spanish he knows in this outing though. Thanks to the slick stealth and combat mechanics which Rocksteady honed across the Arkham trilogy, this really does make you feel like the Batman. And at the end of the day, what more could you really ask for? Whether you've been away from Gotham for a while, or you're pulling on the cowl for the very first time, get ready to answer that bat signal, and get sick of the sight of green question marks.
Next up, we've got another blockbusting adventure ripped straight from the big screen. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Thanks to EA Play, this one is also available on Xbox Game Pass for Ultimate members, or you can purchase it for 70% off with this week's discount. Fallen Order is a third-person adventure that tells a brand new story about a young Jedi Padawan who is being hunted across the galaxy by Lord Vader's deadly Inquisitors. Taking a loosely Dark Souls-ish approach to combat, Fallen Order provides some of the most fluid lightsaber action we've ever seen in a video game, made all the better by the fact you can customize your very own saber as you move through the game. So that double-sided purple lightsaber you've been pretending to wield when actually you were holding a twig, consider it yours. Or if you fancy a simple blue number, I'm sure your robot pal BD can appreciate that. See? It loves it. And whatever color you pick, it'll look even more gorgeous on the Xbox Series X, where the game has been optimized to run in 4K and at up to 60 FPS.
Originally a spin-off from the Yakuza series, Lost Judgment continues the story of private detective Takayuki Yagami as he tries to bring justice to the seedy underworld of Kamurocho. You'll spend a lot of time doing standard detective stuff like interviewing witnesses and searching for clues, and then you'll also need to spend a lot of time doing not so standard detective stuff like throwing plastic chairs at people or using a chair as a shield. Very seating-centric game apparently. Just like the Yakuza games though, Lost Judgment is highly effective at moving between wacky action set pieces and serious topics like systemic injustice and bullying. Its noirish, neon-splashed city also looks amazing on the Xbox Series X and S with a 60 FPS frame rate to really make those roundhouse kicks sing. And if you'd like to see where this spin-off series spun off from, you'll find the Yakuza Remastered Collection also 40% off this week, while the final game in that saga, The Song of Life, is now half price. Next up, we'll move on to the RPG sale, starting with a game that's still got more action than you can shake a flail at, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Now 40% off, the latest entry in this era-hopping series takes us back to 872 AD, where the Vikings are working on their conquest of merry old England. You play as one such raider whose attempts to set up their own clan see them blundering into the middle of that age-old conflict between the Assassins and Templars. All of which sets us up for more of the sneaky takedowns, clanging sword fights, and fleet-footed acrobatics that made us fall in love with this series in the first place. And all of which looks even more majestic in 4K 60 on the Xbox Series X and 4K 30 on the Series S. With the Ragnarok edition, you also get the Dawn of Ragnarok expansion, which adds a touch of Norse magic by allowing you to obtain the powers of a god, wielding ice, magma, and other elemental forces to help you out next time someone points a sword in your direction. Finally, the unfair advantage is yours.
You're finally awake, which is great news because next up, we've got one of the most celebrated RPGs in the history of gaming, and the game that gave us the word Dovahkiin. It's Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim. What more is there to say about Skyrim? We could talk about its huge fantasy world and all the incredible monsters, complex characters, and mysterious occurrences you'll encounter there. Or about the freedom it gives you to play as anything from a peacemaking warlock to a roaming mercenary or a silver-tongued assassin. Even if you will just end up being a stealth archer again, won't you? Let's be honest. We should also just point out that it's a game where you get to fight dragons. Dragons! But the best thing to say would really be that it absolutely justifies all the hype, so you should definitely check it out, either on Xbox Game Pass or in this week's sale, where the special edition is now half price. Of course, there is a brand new Elder Scrolls adventure fluttering somewhere off on the horizon, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell for all the latest information about that one too.
Of course, if it's epic fantasy storytelling that you're looking for, then you really can't go wrong with the works of a certain Mr. J.R.R. Tolkien. If you're into Rings of Power, Riddles in the Dark, and Hobbit holes, then what good fortune, Middle-earth The Shadow Bundle is just the collection for you. Both Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War have you playing as a ranger named Talion, who sets out on a quest for revenge on the forces of Big Evil Eye Sauron. But naturally, you can't just go straight for the big cheese, you gotta work your way up, waging war all across the game's open world and steadily making your way up the food chain. The key innovation introduced by these games is the Nemesis system, which is nothing to do with a mutant in a trench coat, by the way, but rather a mechanic that keeps track of every single orc that you cross paths with. Those who survive your encounters or manage to perform well in battle will level up, allowing you to build personal rivalries with the enemy rather than just wading through a pack of faceless foes. The Shadow Bundle is now 65% off, but the experience of lopping off the head of an enemy you've been squabbling with for hours, that's priceless.
Staying in the realm of orcs, elves, and elder things, Dragon Age Inquisition has had 85% carved off its scaly hide. Plus, you can also find it on Xbox Game Pass. Here you get to do some serious role-playing by creating your own character from scratch, including their race and class. But whether you're an elven mage or a roguish dwarf, you're going to have your work cut out for you. The continent of Thedas is in the middle of a huge conflict, while at the same time, a massive tear in the universe called a breach has opened up and started spitting out demons. Hate it when that happens. Anyhow, you'll need to travel the land, honing your skills, helping those in need, and assembling your own little fellowship if you want to stand a chance of putting things right.
Rounding out this week's Deals Roundup, we've got a couple of titles that don't fit into the other categories but are just sort of great, starting with Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered. Available via EA Play and now 80% off, this cops and robbers classic has you speeding through Seacrest County as either a hotshot street racer or as the boys in blue who have made it their life's mission to shut those racers down. Not sure that buying supercars and EMPs is the best use of public spending, but then again, what do I know? It sure makes for a great game as you weave between traffic at ludicrous speeds, busting out all kinds of high-tech gadgets along the way to try and give you the edge over the opposition. And thanks to this luxurious remaster, even the races that end with you face-planting into a lamppost will still kinda look awesome. Just don't try that at home, alright?
Last up, we've got one of the weirdest and most wonderful titles to arrive day one on Xbox Game Pass last year, Psychonauts 2, which is now 40% off. This trippy platformer has you playing as an aspiring psychic secret agent named Raz, who's trying to get to the bottom of a very strange conspiracy. To unravel the mystery, he'll have to inception his way through the minds of all sorts of people. From germ-infested bowling alleys to high-rolling hospitals, the mental realms that make up the game's levels are some of the most beautifully odd places you'll ever visit. When the scenery is this good, you want as good a view as possible, which is where the Xbox Series X and S really come into their own, letting you wander through each new brain in 120 FPS so that you can catch every stray thought. And if you want to take in the whole crazy tale, you'll find the first Psychonauts game in the sale at 60% off and in the Xbox Game Pass library as well.
That is a wrap on this week's deals, so trying to make it through April Fool's Day without being swindled, and we'll be back next week with another round of enticing Xbox offers. Until then, sound off in the comments about all the glorious savings you're about to make, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Bye!